Well, usually this doesn't happen. Companies look more or less the same throughout the years. The total assets will grow or shrink a little bit, the equity will change, the revenue will go up or down, and sometimes, like here, a profit will be a loss another moment, but the equity becoming really small, the total assets shrinking, and then a loss on top of it, that's very rare. Actually, E.ON reinvented itself, and the new company is not the same company as the old one. E.ON wanted to be a sustainable company working on renewables, and that's why we see such a huge difference between 2006 and 2016. But let's have a look at the other ones. We are able to compare them in time and to each other, of course. E.ON used to be a huge company with more equity than IBM. If we look at the bottom of E.ON and IBM, we can see the difference: more total assets, larger equity, and then Maersk, being one of the largest logistical companies in the world, still has not the same balance sheet as IBM, more or less the same equity. We're able to compare the values because the graph represents all the values in the same way, so with the same relative size. 1,000 for this will be 1,000 for this. Actually, this is a little bit larger, so if this is 1,000, this will be 1,100. And the total assets for IBM are larger, but actually it means the liabilities are higher. Maersk has less liabilities, and therefore the size is not as narrow as the size of the IBM bottom. We can also turn the graph around 180 degrees and have a look at the 2016 part in front and the 2006 to the rear. It can be useful to have a better look at the more recent values. Of course, we could have switched the values, so 2016 was in the front from the beginning, but here we did the other way around, and now we can have a better look at, for instance, the loss for Maersk and for E.ON in a new company. So what AnRep3D actually does is offer a comparison for a couple of companies in a couple of years, because it's possible to even take 10 companies in 10 years in one graph, and every individual building in the graph represents equity, total assets, revenue, and profit or loss. Now, this is not the most extreme example of a graph generated by AnRep3D. That would be this. This is an artificial graph not taken from annual reports, because then we would have to process 100 annual reports, as it represents 10 companies over 10 years, and for every single report we had to take 4 different values: equity, total assets, revenue, and the profit. But here we generated a couple of values to illustrate the principle of the power of the AnRep3D generator. So here we really have 100 buildings, 10 companies over 10 years.